Ladies and gentlemen, coming to the stage is Mike King Biz, the voice of RVA business media. At Mike King Biz, we celebrate the idea that business makes society better. On behalf of the whole Mike King Biz ecosystem, we say a big thank you to the Chesterfield Chamber of Commerce. Here's Mike King of Mike King Biz.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to One of Mike King, coming to you from the Mike King Biz Media Center, high above Henrico. That's where we are. You can hear us and see us every day, Monday to Friday, 10 to 12. That's 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. on the World Wide Web. LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. That's where, and Saturdays, 6 a.m. in the East on ESPN Richmond. Alrighty, so we got my good friend Patterson Rogers out there with Chesterfield CASA. Hello, ma'am.
Hello, Mike. Thanks for having me.
And so before folks we get started, when I hear CASA, automatically I thought of a house or a home. And I've been educated over some time now. It is not a house or home, but it is something very important that you guys do. So tell us who you are, ma'am, and what you do.
That's right. CASA stands for Court Appointed Special Advocates. So Chesterfield CASA, we're a nonprofit that serves abused and neglected children in Chesterfield County and the city of Colonial Heights who have come before the court due to concerns for their safety. We recruit and train everyday community members who volunteer to be advocates for these children. So our advocates meet regularly with the children and build relationship. They gather insights from relatives, foster parents, teachers, medical professionals, really everyone in the child's life, and they bring that voice back to the courtroom so judges can make informed, life-changing decisions and ensure services for these children. Our goal is for every child to find a safe, permanent home.
In reality, there are opportunities, if it wasn't for CASAs, for kids to be showing up to court really by themselves with no help.
That's right. That's right.
We hear about that and think that's like unbelievable, but it's not.
Right. Well, I mean, these are kids whose parents are unable to stand up for them. And so someone needs to be there to help them.
All right, so CASA, you guys are helping children, helping the community. How can people help you?
So there are a lot of ways to help. One of them is to become an advocate, to stand with these children. But there are lots of other ways. We're always looking for donations, but we also host different events. And coming to those events and supporting those events can be a great way to help an organization like ours. And we actually have one coming up on Friday, April 24th. It's the Growing Bright Futures 30th celebration. So we just hit 30 years, which only about a third of nonprofits hit. And so we want to have a big celebration for this important milestone.
How long have you been in the nonprofit world?
Me personally, I've been in the nonprofit world. I did 6 years in animal welfare and now 2 years with Chesterfield CASA. And prior.
What's the draw?
What's the
draw for, because I always tell you could tell the nonprofit folks, y'all have the same kind of look of really changing the world. What's the draw for you?
For me, my background's in education, so helping children has always been really important to me. But more than that, it's I just feel this like compelled to help those who don't have the ability to help themselves. I really want to be there to help lift up those in our community. And, working for a nonprofit was, at least for me, just felt like the right fit.
So you have the gala that's coming up, but you also have something in the fall that kind of got me going. Because, for folks who know me, I'm the most straight-laced person. I never want to have a good time. But you said there's a superhero run.
That's right. On October 4th, there's the Superhero 5K. It is a family-friendly event. We host a kids fun run. Then we do a 5K run and walk. And I really emphasize the walk. There are lots of people there with strollers, dogs, walking the 5K. And then we also have a family festival during the event. So it's just an amazing, fun time.
One of the things we always talk about is, people doing good work, organizations doing work. So you're having the event coming up, you have the 5K. That's more than your staff can handle. Let's talk about the volunteers, the people who come on. Okay, so you have the volunteers who are the CASA, they're the advocates. Then you have to have volunteers to help you do what you do to support those nonprofit volunteers. Touch on the value of your volunteers.
No, that's a really great point, Mike. We have volunteers who help plan our events, and then we have volunteers who help implement, actually run the day of the event, right? So there's a group of people who have been helping me to plan the gala. They're an incredible group. But then also we'll have individuals who help with check-in, who help with setup and takedown, and all of the things that make behind the scenes an event work. And even more so for the Superhero 5K because it's a bigger event. We are always looking for individuals to help day of for the race. And we're also right now looking for people to help plan the event as well. So yeah, there are lots of facets and lots of different ways to help an organization.
On the mic, Mike King here, coming to you from the MIKEKINGBIZ Call Federal Media Center, high above Henrico. That's where we are. Patterson Rogers over in Chesterfield with the Chesterfield CASA. Are there still opportunities for people to come to the gala on Friday?
Absolutely. We're still selling tickets. The night itself will be an incredible night. We've got, we start with a reception with drinks and hors d'oeuvres, silent auction. Then we have our keynote speaker, Maurice Neblett, who is an entrepreneur and community leader here in Richmond, who will be talking about how CASA was a part of his journey growing up. And then we'll have a live auction and then dinner and dancing. And so it's just going to be a inspiring and fun night. And tickets are on sale online on our website, www.chesterfieldcasa.org.
So folks, what that means is that night helps fund all the times of the work when no one's there except for the volunteers, your staff, and kids who need help. So it is important. Go get the tickets, support the organization. They're out there doing some amazing things. I always see you at the Chesterfield Chamber of Commerce. Thank you for reaching out and letting me know. This is something that's important. One last time, ma'am, how can people reach you out there and support the organization?
The best way to reach us is through our website, www.chesterfieldcasa.org. You can learn about being an advocate, you can buy tickets for the event, and you can contact us through our website.
There you go. On the mic, Mike. Thanks, Patterson. Take care. On the mic, Mike. We'll talk to you soon, folks. Thanks. Now, take care.
This is the night that 10 years, 15, 20 years, you're going to be looking back and saying, I was here There's an inflection point happening in technology. We get to lead it, and we get to lead it right here in Richmond.
We must prepare existing workers, students, and communities to be able to use AI so that no one is left behind.
The real story isn't AI itself. The real story is what AI makes possible. AI is the new keyboard. It's the new mouse. It's not the answer, it's the instrument. And the more people we hand that instrument to, the more possibilities we turn into realities.
People want to be together when you're making a difference. How can we make Richmond, make the region, and in part, all of Virginia, the most AI ready? A lot of people ask me, do we just want to be the Silicon Valley of the East Coast? The quote everybody keeps on having me re-ask is no. My mission is for Silicon Valley to be the Richmond of the West Coast.
So happy to be a part of his journey.
Business show in RVA, on the mic with Mike in RVA. On the mic with Mike. On the mic with Mike. On the mic with Mike. On the mic with Mike.
One person did that.
He's like a guru.
No, he's a businessman with a great radio show.
And he supports the non-profits. Watch his show and grow.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back on the Mic with Mike. I am your host, Mike King. Thank you for being here with me. This is part of the MIKEKINGBIZ Media Network, ESPN Richmond 106.1 International Business Group Radio, Saturdays 10 a.m. Eastern, as well as CW Richmond TV, Wednesday and Friday. This is a business show, just so we're clear. It's a business show. Yes. But it's business-ish, because we can sort of go off on left sometimes. We showcase business and people in RVA who are doing some amazing things. We left the light on. Michelle came back. So now, all right, I look at you as a branding expert, but somebody that's like branding with feeling, like helping people find their voice.
Absolutely.
But then I see something on the whole other side that we're going to touch on, and my good friend Anna Soden from Swift Creek Living is in the building. She's going to join us because this may, it may go a little sideways. All right, really quickly. So, Michelle, tell us who you are and what you do.
Sure. Michelle Mercurio. I call myself a people catalyst, a brand writer, and authenticist. And authenticist is just a word that I made up because I believe in getting to the heart of things and being very transparent, very authentic in everything that I do. I think I really help people get to the center of who they are and remember themselves and remind them who they really are based off of who they are on the inside rather than what the world puts on them. And I do that in a variety of ways. I do that through brand voice and writing, content strategy, that kind of thing. And then that other thing that you alluded to,
yes, ma'am,
which I call my witchiness. And I help people use tarot and retreats and meditation and tools to basically access, free, and heal themselves so that they can be more of who they really are.
Okay. Alrighty. So now, like back in the day, I always go with that. Back in the day. If you were on the treadmill of life and you stepped off for medical, maybe women got off this with a family, or maybe you just needed a break. The world said Mike wasn't strong enough. He couldn't take it. So the world kept going. Well, the pandemic came and everybody got sent home one time out.
Yes.
Let's talk about what people look like from your standpoint now as opposed to prior to the pandemic.
I feel like everyone did take that pause and realize that there was, well, I hope that a lot of people took that pause and stepped back and said, oh, I have been feeding a machine that actually isn't designed with human needs in mind. And so if that is the case, where's my own humanity? Where is it that I want to spend time? What are the causes that I want to help move forward? We had George Floyd's murder. We had Breonna Taylor's murder. We had a lot of things happening. We had a very good social reckoning in so many ways where I think we all went home for a timeout and then we remembered what actually really matters.
So when you look at things now,
yes,
how are we different than when we came back? Are we starting to get our feet, back settled again? The other part to that one is We have Katie in the building, who is a senior at Longwood. Younger people these days really are tying their not just feelings, but their interests to business endeavors.
Right.
As opposed to before, we were kind of check your stuff at the door when you went and punched the clock. You're shaking your head like, Those days are gone.
Those days are gone. I think you have to integrate your whole self in everything that you do. And if you're looking to segment yourself and be a different person in different ways, show up with, a career mindset or show up with a family mindset. I'm not saying that there aren't things that you're going to compartmentalize, but I think that the only way forward, and especially for our future graduates, is they're inheriting a world that is in chaos and continuing to spin toward that. So if they do not bring their whole selves, their whole hearts, their whole minds, and also remember to take care of themselves in the process, nothing's ever going to work.
Alrighty, so Michelle's here with us. How can people find you out there?
You can go to my website at michellemercurio.com. You can find me on Instagram at mishmerk. You can also find that tarot stuff at yourresidentwitch.com or at your.resident.witch on Instagram.
Alrighty, so let's talk about a tribe and your crew and the power. I always say there's a power in numbers. And who you hang out with says a lot about who you are and where you're going. So our friend Sharon Soriano Greenwood had an event.
Yes.
You see a bunch of, there's some crazy energy in that room. There's some heavy hitters there.
Right.
Talk about a person and their tribe, and also how important that is.
So I do love the Rebel Crew. I recently got the opportunity to write the cover story for their summer release magazine. So I've known Kelly Lemon for a really long time.
I didn't.
And I love her.
I got to tell you my Kelly Lemon story.
Oh, yeah. Tell me your Kelly Lemon story.
Okay, so I get here in 2014, so I was helping out the Salvation Army Boys and Girls Club.
Okay.
And so I'm there, and I'm at a TV station, so what do you guys need? We're having an event, and we could use some exposure. Fine. We have a commercial. Fine. But it's dated. We have the footage, but we need somebody else to voice it. They're like, call Kelly. I don't know. I'm there because of Synapse. And
Right.
I'm talking, so I get on the phone. Hey, my name is Mike King. They gave me your number. Could you come and voice this thing? So she comes into NBC 12. She hits the door. Hi, I'm Mike. She's in there. Hey, how you doing? Hey, Kelly. Hey, Kels, how you doing? Everybody.
Everyone knows Kels.
Right.
Yeah.
So we go. We voice the commercial. She knocks it out. Boom. And so I say to her, you need to be on TV. And I'm the guy to make it happen. Okay. So this is right when Brewers Cafe opens. So I get my sales pitch together, and I'm like, I'm going to make you I'm going to make you a star. We're sitting in Brewers Cafe. Everybody walks in. Kels, hey, how you doing? Hey, everybody.
And you realize she was already a star?
I looked at her and said, who the hell are you? Because clearly everybody knows, and I don't.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, I understood. So fast forward a little bit of time, so I engage with her a little bit. I'm outside, and then she's like, hey, Mike. I'm like, Kelly knows my name?
Yeah, there you go.
She's
making you a star.
And all of a sudden, there's a time, so we've done projects together, and there was a couple of times when she calls and says, hey, Mike. When Kelly Lemon calls you and gives you a little bit of guidance.
You do it.
Exactly, because that's the position when she is. Yeah. She knows everybody, and what she does is she makes you feel the article you wrote, the picture that went with it.
That was beautiful.
Yes, it was. And it just spoke to her.
Emmeline did the outfit with that. I know that there's a great photographer. Pretty. Like everybody, like Sophia did the photography there. Shannon pulled together that whole issue of the Rebel magazine. There's a lot of fantastic, wonderful, powerful business women. And when I say powerful, I don't mean in that toxic, like, oh, they're all corporate, they're all career. These are real women who are making real impact throughout the world. And I think that, not just in Richmond, but even bigger than that. So I think that there's a lot to be said for what you said, like, tell us about your people.
There is something. Thing. So in the building with us, as well as Anna Soden, Katie is with us. Anna Soden, so when you talk about them powerful women, Anna Soden owns a magazine, Swift Creek Living, and I call her the Human Rolodex.
There you
go. Because
it's
about women who are making, they're powerful women who are out there making a statement, and it is all about the tribe that you keep.
Yep.
So
before you transition off of this, I also have to give a plug for Creative Mornings.
When you were here before, that is okay.
We talked a little bit about Creative
Yes,
Mornings
okay.
before. So just really quick, Creative Mornings is the longest lasting monthly creative event that is open cross industry we believe that everyone is welcome, everyone is creative. We are always on the third Friday of every month, although I will say we are taking a summer break this July. But we have an event in June, and we will have another event in August. And really, we're here to continue to elevate voices in Richmond who are changing the game and doing wonderful creative things.
What makes Richmond such a creative hotspot like that right now? What's the buzz?
We are the root of so many things in this world. Rising out of being known as the capital of the Confederacy, there are so many stories here, right? There's the story of Maggie Walker. There's the story of Black Wall Street. There's the story of, the fact that we have an oppressive kind of way about us where we've finally started to reckon, with some of that. There's a huge art school. There's a lot of creatives. There's a lot of people coming here and we've got great chefs, we've got great music, we've got great culture. So there's a lot of people who are coming here knowing that Richmond is a great place to live. We're close to amazing things, river, mountains, beach, all of that. But then it's the microcosm and how is it that we all can kind of come together and coalesce to bring out the stories of who we really are.
On the Mic with Mike, we're here. Michelle is with us. How can people find you out there?
MichelleMercurio.com, Instagram, Mishmerk, or that Your Resident Witch site.
Because sometimes something is so good inside you. Sometimes we scream things and other times we...
On the Mic with Mike RVA is the best business radio.
Sometimes we have to whisper things because it's that voice inside.
It can be heard.
It's a voice that's inside of us that sometimes we have to listen to.
Right.
Well, now we're going back in the day. Back in the day, it was business people, and then it was the creatives. Now we're talking creative people are also having to do the business side.
Right.
And we're realizing that creative, touchy-feely stuff now plays a part in the business world as well. There was another time you just showed up at work, leave your crap at home, chop, 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 let's do it. You joined up, and this is what it is, and it's not like that anymore.
No, it's not.
We're going to have Katie, come on in. We have Katie step in here, and one of the great parts about this is we get to ask the tough questions, and we're going to get the young person's perspective. There you go, Katie, welcome.
Hi.
Okay, so Katie is all right, tell them who you are.
My name is Katie. I am Honor Soden's intern for the summer. I'm a marketing student at Longwood University, and I'll be graduating this December.
And you're in marketing?
Yes.
Let's explain why marketing.
Well, I've always wanted to go into it. I never changed majors when I started at school. I added an art minor because I really like the creative side, and I really like branding and creating creative ways to connect people.
Do young people, and so shout out to, I lived at Penn State and State College for 10 years. I love the college town because young people believe that the world could be a better place. Mm-hmm. You're just shaking your head like, mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, so talk about what it feels like. Do you guys really worry about, not just going to work, but making an impact? Do you talk about it, or it's just kind of like the feel that's there?
I would say no. I think the internet and having that has created so many different opportunities. You don't have to go to a 9-to-5 anymore.
No.
A lot of people have so many different options. With just things like Etsy, you can make your own store of things that you want to do and that kind of thing. So I think it's easier now than it has ever been to make a difference on what you feel is important.
Okay. You have any questions you'd like to ask Michelle? So you didn't know you were being put on the spot like this, did you? No, you didn't.
This is how we roll.
This is how, because this is the part of the market. She's a branding. You like branding?
Yes.
Okay, let's start there.
So you do the visual branding. Are you talking about visual branding? Are you talking about marketing in general? I do content.
Visual.
Visual branding?
Yes.
So what do you hope to actually? I'm going to ask the question, so
Well,
I'm going to put her
okay.
on the spot. What do you hope to really graduate into? Like, where is it that you want to explore for your first foray after graduation?
I really just want to find something that I like doing. I've worked at jobs where I made decent money and I hated doing what I was doing.
Same.
You know, there used to be a time that making money was enough.
Yes. It is not.
It's not the driver anymore.
How do you get paid? Do you get paid in here? I mean, yeah, cash is good. We need to have that, unfortunately, to make the world go round. But, like, are you actually fulfilled in what you do? Are you living a life, or are you wasting time for a paycheck? Yeah.
It's a tough one, and sometimes it took people longer to get to that point. They're starting out right off the bat saying, we're not just going to chase the money.
Yeah.
Because there's so many other ways to make money. If you told me somebody DoorDashing and
Yeah.
I could make enough money to make it, or Instacarting and with all those other things, and then I could chase my passion, then all of a sudden. So you're an artist as well?
Yes.
Okay, what do you do? Paint, draw?
Yeah, paint.
Okay. You've always been a creative?
Yes.
You've always been.
Everyone is creative.
Everyone
is creative.
But some people's creative is repressed, like mine was.
I can understand that. I'm not saying that that's not a case.
Yes.
What I'm saying is I believe that there is a spark within us all that has either been crushed or has been nurtured.
Yes, the crush part. But then eventually it starts to pop out.
Yes.
At some point, I didn't know I was a creative. Like my youngest son, it's calligraphy, it's the dance, and it's cutting up clothes. It's all those things. And we had someone in here a couple weeks ago. They said change is messy.
Yeah.
When you get, and so we're going. So both you guys are Taurus. I'm a Capricorn. When you come a lot of times to Capricorns, to me, we want things boxed up pretty, and they're like, change doesn't come that way.
No.
Change is, a creative comes in with an idea, and the next thing you know, it takes form, and they meet up with this person, and then that is the process.
Life is not boxed up.
No, it is not.
Yeah.
It's not.
It's a process.
Life used to be a lot easier. We didn't have as much.
I would say that to be true. I think that there's a lot of things that we are inundated with now more than ever before. We have access to information that we'll never even see. There's so many things always competing for our attention. I think that there is a pathway where life can be easier, but it does take way more time than we have been systematized into taking, right? So if you only get 8 hours a day and you've got to sleep for at least 6, and then the rest of the time you're cramming in the things that you have to do, this system doesn't work. So how is it that you actually can make things easier? How can you return to the things that are important and look at it from that point?
Alrighty, Katie. Let's talk about the internet and what's your views on social media? How do people see it right now? Yeah, when person starts going,
shaking her head no.
It can definitely be used as a positive.
Okay.
I felt like I was in the first decade area where we were the first people to have it, growing up, I guess. Because I know my parents were very hesitant about it because it was new to everyone.
Yeah.
It's still new, so I feel like if we can make it more positive than negative, it's beneficial, but there's always going to be negative and things that are not good.
Alrighty. Katie is here with us. Michelle, Katie, thank you. On the mic, Michelle is here with us. We are keeping things moving. That's what we do here. Okay, how can people find you out there? Michelle?
Oh, back to that same website, MichelleMercurio.com or at Mishmerca on Instagram.
Alrighty, how'd you get the Mix merch? That's the name.
MICHMERC.
So when you were doing that, let's talk about the branding of it. So it's strictly, do you keep the branding separate?
My
gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Business Breakdown. Mike King here. It may look different to you. I'm in the studio of the RVA Small Business Network. The program I have is On the Mic with Mike, as heard on ESPN Richmond Daily. Today with me, I have the esteemed senator from the state of Virginia. It is my adopted state. Originally, I'm from Pennsylvania, but I am here. Senator Mark Warner, thank you for coming on the program, sir.
Mike, thank you so much for having me.
Alrighty, so we're going to start off with, we always talk about people coming into political service, into public service. Talk about the draw to political, to the public service for you, what it means, and how we find the next generation of people who understand that.
Well, Mike, I didn't grow up in a political family where we were active in the community, but not politically. Somehow I got the bug. I went to college at George Washington, D.C., and worked on Capitol Hill as an intern. And then I decided after law school, I did politics for a while. I thought, you know what? I need to go. I didn't come from any money. I was first in my family to graduate from college. I said, I need to go try business. And I started a business, first one, invested my whole life savings. It failed in 6 weeks. I went into real estate. It failed in 6 months. So about age 26 with student debt, sleeping on my friends' couches, living out of my backseat of my car, I got an opportunity to try a third try, and that was around cell phones in the early 80s, and managed to do really well. And I decided after doing business that I wanted to come back to politics, really based upon the presumption that, you know, I hope I was self-aware enough to realize that if I'd not been a white guy with the right education, I might not have gotten 3 chances or 2 chances or even 1 chance. And my whole attitude towards public service is, you know, in this country with all its flaws, everybody ought to get a fair shot. I can't guarantee everybody's success, but we sure as heck ought to make sure everybody gets the same kind of fair shot opportunities that I had. And that's been kind of my guiding principle. As I got back into politics, I was Doug Wilder's campaign manager for governor back in 1989, state party chair, ran for the Senate, lost, came back and ran for governor and won. And then I've been pretty much in this full time since the early 2000s.
So when people look at running for political campaigns and public service these days, they really see it is a tough road. How do we get the best and the brightest to commit to understand that doing public service is a service to our country?
Mike, that's an important question. And it's frankly made harder now, you know, because public service can be running for elective office, but it can also be working in government. And one of the many things I disagree with President Trump on is this attitude of almost demonizing people who work for government. I think that will that hangover of that effect. I mean, who's going to go want to work for the CIA, or who's going to want to go work in the government if your notion is it's not worthy, or somehow you might get fired early on for no reason. I also think, Mike, that you know, I'm a big believer, I guess, as a business guy, that neither side has all the answers. I always thought as a business person, if I looked into a room and said, all right, I'm going to take ideas from this half of the room, but not from that half of the room. So that gets me in trouble sometimes. I'm a Democrat, but with some of the harder core, I think the political extremes on the left and the right are, you know, don't lead always to good solutions. So I've been trying to encourage people not only to go into public service, but if you go in and you run for elective office, be willing to try to work with the other side. And particularly in today's political environment, that's not always a popular thing for people to hear.
On the Mike King here, Senator Mark Warner. So, sir, we talked to some of the best minds here from a business standpoint about the state of Virginia. So we talked to Jason Alcubi, Jennifer Wakefield, Anthony Romanello, about how Virginia is. We're on the list of the short list of best ofs. When you started 2025, sir, before all of the upheaval, what were your views that would happen business-wise for 2025, and where are we now with everything that's happened from a tariff perspective?
Well, first of all, in many ways, Virginia, and where I live up in Northern Virginia, is the point of the sphere. Because as President Trump comes in and the Doge boys come in, and let me just say, if Doge and Elon Musk had a real government efficiency program, that would have made sense. But instead of kind of coming in with a chainsaw and just whacking at agencies, we've already seen the national capital area. We're looking at least a mild recession, and potentially even worse because of so many jobs being dislocated, and just the fear factor. And Northern Virginia still drives a lot of Virginia's economy, so that is a real concern. On the balance of the state, I don't think people have felt all of the effects of the government cuts yet, although there are a number of economic development projects that I worked on with the governor that we're not sure that got awarded money last year under Biden, but Trump's put a hold on that. So most of these are in rural communities. And frankly, if they don't get the funds, even though they were promised, it's going to have a real effect. And this is in Pennsylvania, and it's in Pulaski County, it's in outside of Roanoke County. So that is a real challenge. Then on the tariffs, a targeted tariff program against countries that cheat like China, if you do that with friends and allies, that makes sense. But kind of taking on the whole world at once, and frankly, America's business is based not only on our free economy and our great markets, but it is based on the fact that people have generally trusted America. It bothers the heck out of me when you see with these tariffs across the board and I see this as now vice chair, I was chair of the Intelligence Committee, about countries starting to say, well, maybe China is a more trustworthy partner than America. That scares the hell out of me. And we are already seeing the effects of tariffs. I had a bourbon maker from Richmond come up to a couple of weeks ago when the Canadian tariffs were being announced. And I tell you, Mike, even if the tariffs get reduced, for example, on Canada, we've so angered the Canadians. It's like crazy. We're saying Russia's a friend and Canada's an enemy, that it's going to be a long, long time before that bourbon maker is going to get Canadians to buy American booze. So I think we haven't seen all of the full effects of the tariffs. I'm glad to see at least a short-term starting of an agreement with China. But I think unfortunately, the worst is yet to come. And since Virginia both depends upon government and government contracting, and we depend upon trade with the Port of Virginia down in Hampton Roads, we got to buckle up. This is going to be a bit of a bumpy ride.
ESPN Richmond RVA Small Business Network. This is Mike King. Senator Mark Warner is here with us, sir. I know we'd like to thank you for your time. One last question.
Yes, sir.
What can business owners do to voice their concern, pleasure, displeasure with where we are from a governmental standpoint with the things that affect their business?
Well, I always think it's great, especially for small businesses, to participate in like their local chambers of commerce. I think that is a good way. I think frankly, I like to encourage businesses, to not to be viewed just as partisan on one side, Democrat or Republican, but to let your elected representatives know. And as a former governor, I'm now senator, and most importantly for, I think, your listeners and viewers, a long-term business guy, I think it's important to hear from business leaders who create the jobs, who have the innovation and the ideas, that take the chances. And what most business leaders want the most is predictability. I mean, they'll live with whatever rules government puts together, but they want predictability. And unfortunately, at this moment in time, that is not something the current administration is offering folks.
On the mic, Mike, sir, we'd like to thank you for your time. Any parting words you'd like to give us, words of encouragement?
Well, just Mike, the fact that, I hope your listeners and others will remember when they see somebody that appears to be successful, whatever, nobody's life is a straight line of success after success. The great thing about our country is, I'm a strong advocate of taking a chance. And if you have to fail, I failed a couple times in business. I failed once in politics. But the best thing about our country ought to be that ability to kind of pick yourself up and learn from failure and get back in the game. And the more we can do to make sure that businesses in Virginia get that fair chance. I'm a big advocate of access to capital issues, for example, for underserved communities. Just as many good ideas in all communities, but the difference is many communities don't have the same kind of access to capital. But I guess my big final comment would be, take a chance. Don't be afraid to fail, as long as you got the willingness to pick yourself up and try again.
Thank you, Senator. We'd like to thank our good friends over at the Chesterfield Chamber of Commerce, Karen Webb, Brian Anderson with the Chamber RVA, as well as Floyd Miller with the MBL. So, folks, we'd like to thank you for your time. Senator, thank you. That's what it comes down to. All right, we ready?
Yes, sir.
Let's do this.
In a world where quality business information is needed, we bring you On the Mic with Mike, the leading social enterprise business show in RVA. Join Mike King, the partnership guru, as he delivers game changers in Metro RVA. On the Mic with Mike showcases how business can help make society better. He discusses tech, culture, innovation, best business practices, and highlighting area nonprofits. Join Mike Monday through Friday, because it is the place where the best and brightest come to chat.
Mike King is a businessman. He's a businessman with his own talk show. On the Mic with Mike, with the best business radio program in the game.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to On the Mic with Mike. Mike King here. This is part of the MIKEKINGBIZ Media Network, ESPN Richmond 106.1, International Business Growth Radio, as well as the Hounds of Business Community. That is a global network of businesses, organizations understanding the power of business. Alrighty, so I'm just a humble public servant out there minding my business, and yet I start seeing really cool things happen. So, Richard, welcome to the program, sir.
I appreciate it, Mike. Good to be here.
All right, so tell folks who you are and what you do.
I'm Richard Coughlan. It's my 27th year on the faculty at the Robbins School of Business, University of Richmond.
You look in it?
That's about what I do.
That is what you do. So besides that, all right, so always love, I talked about going over to the Robbins School. It is something, you guys have a different model and method, and we talk about culture. You see the students there. Talk about the magic that happens over at the Robbins School.
Well, we're really fortunate to take in fantastic students, so it starts with that. And then what we try to do is find great faculty to work with those students, Mike. But I think so much of what's happened, this is my 27th year there, in the last 10, 12 years, I think we've really focused on becoming, the university for Richmond, and that means reaching out into the business community, inviting the business community into the school, and our students are the beneficiaries of that, because when we get programs coming into the B School, we encourage the students to go network, and so it's really paying dividends now.
I hate to be like the old man, like to get off my lawn type person. The younger people are different these days. What are the students like now as opposed to, say, 15 years ago?
Well, I think they're eager to get feedback at every turn, and that's one of the things that we try to work on while they're with us. Is just increasing levels of professionalism, helping them understand what it's like to be out in the working world. So many of our faculty come from business backgrounds. I mean, they've all got great degrees from great schools, but we're hiring more and more faculty who spent time in business so that they can work directly with the students on here's what it's like to be in a professional environment. The students who have internships, after second year or third year, they're pretty well equipped to go out into the working world. But they're eager for feedback at every turn. I think that's one of the biggest adjustments we have to make.
Okay, so the reason that we're here today is a program that you guys have upcoming. Talk 1 second here. We put out all the stop 1 second here. With an educator daughter, I'm sure you understand budgets.
Absolutely.
You are a business educator, so we're keeping everything within our budget. Let's talk about the program that you guys are here to talk about today.
Thank you. Men of Purpose will happen on the afternoon of November 12th. Tim Hightower, who played football at Richmond and then went on to a great NFL career, he now works for the Washington Commanders as head of alumni relations. Tim and I have been talking for 2 or 3 years about brotherhood, about manhood, about being great fathers, trying to be great fathers, and the needs in the community and how men can dive into that. So we finally have developed a program, and it's going to be a short, tight program where Tim and I are going to offer a few remarks to the gathering of men on our campus. It'll happen at the Alumni Center, Jefferson Alumni Center, 4:30 p.m., Tuesday, November 12th. All men from the community are welcome to attend. We'll have hopefully young men from campus. We'll have faculty and staff from campus, but really we're targeting the broader community to get onto campus. And we'll start with remarks. Tim and I are going to offer a few reflections on different phases of our own lives. We'll be brief about that. And then there'll be a chance to network with other men that you've never met before. So we're going to put you into a networking opportunity for a short amount of time. And then the tail end of the program, Mike, is going to have several nonprofits from the area give 1-minute pitches about how these men can begin to volunteer in those nonprofits. What Tim and I envision is that you and I might spot a nonprofit that we'd never heard of, Fatherhood Foundation, Boys and Girls Clubs, Big Brothers, Big Sisters, and maybe two of us pair up and say, why don't we go visit that table, find out a little bit more about how we can be helpful. So now I'm gaining a colleague and I'm making a difference in the community. And that's what we envision as really the first of many conversations. Tim and I are committed to going around the region and facilitating conversations where we can be helpful.
Let's talk about, so shout out to a good friend of mine, Tiffany Greene. I call her the Princess of Purpose. Everything in her world is purpose-driven leadership, people going into political life. It is all about the purpose. What was it about that portion that drove you guys to come up with this right here?
Tim's a little younger than I am. You know, I've got 20 years on him, but, the first time that we met in early 2019, we'd set aside 30 minutes for the meeting, Mike, and I think we were there for 2.5 or 3 hours. I think one of the things that we landed on in that meeting is that we both have a real interest in understanding what's our purpose for being here, and we like to bring that out of others. So the conversations that he's involved in, that I'm involved in, with younger people and older people is this idea of, why are we here? What are we doing? And Tim's email address actually is purpose-driven, 34 at gmail. He goes by this. This is something that
that's his thing.
Yeah, I mean he's got a heck of a story. He wrote a book about it a few years ago. What a lot of people don't realize is that Tim Hightower was out of the NFL for 4 years, trying to get his way back, battling injuries, and it's a remarkable story of resilience. To think that somebody who's played in the Super Bowl the first year out of the University of Richmond, he was playing for the Cardinals then. That he could suffer an injury while playing for Washington and then just be out of the league literally for 4 seasons while all of these great running backs are coming into the league. But Tim felt like there was a bigger purpose, that his being out was meant to just build resilience and other kinds of things. And he made his way all the way back. Sean Payton hired him to join the Saints. He ran for touchdowns for a couple more seasons and then he retired. But his story is one of finding purpose and helping others find purpose. And I share that interest with him.
Let's talk about the date of the event once again is?
November 12th, Tuesday afternoon, 4:30 p.m.
Do people have to register for it? Or?
We would appreciate you registering. So if you'll Google University of Richmond Men of Purpose, it'll pop up. It's on the Richmond College website. The Richmond College is the men's college that's still part of the University of Richmond. But if you type in University of Richmond Men of Purpose, or you can feel free to reach out to me directly, and we'll get you the registration page right away.
How did the nonprofits get to be a part of this thing? Shout out to my man Chris Beach out there, always after doing some amazing work.
Yeah, well, Tim and I were trying to think what's the call to action. So it would be one thing, right, if 50 or 60 or 100 men get together in an afternoon and trade stories. But he and I know that there are tons and tons of needs in this community, and he's doing neat things, and I'm doing what I can, chairing the board of goodwill and other kinds of things. So we're really committed to this. But we know that there are plenty of nonprofits looking for volunteers, and if you study what's going on around this, the Surgeon General has gone on and on about the epidemic of loneliness and isolation of men. One of the ways to get men involved is to have them volunteer, and I think when you're doing that in groups of 2 and 3 and 4, it makes an even bigger difference to the men who are looking for friendship and kinship, and also to those who are going to benefit from it. So Tim and I both know a few folks involved in the nonprofit world, and it just felt like a natural way to conclude the event.
Is this part of the conversations program that you have with the? It is not.
It's separate. I've hosted C-suite conversations since 2011, and I'll say this, that in the receptions that often follow those events, I get an opportunity to talk to plenty of people who've come from the outside, and occasionally, they'll ask about, can you help me find a volunteer or two for something that I'm involved with. So, in one way, it's a separate. In one way, it is connected, but it's a separate conversation.
Really quickly, let's get the elevator pitch for C-Suite's conversations.
Thanks, Mike. 2011, we launched a series 6 or 7 times a year. I sit on stage to do unscripted interviews with.
You're like James Lipton.
James Lipton, yeah.
That's the business, the business side of that.
Yeah, I don't do any note cards. In fact, I don't go up with any notes, in part because we want it to be a free-flowing conversation that's unscripted.
And you tell people that in the beginning.
I'll do 25 or 30 hours of research to figure out what 6 or 7 questions has my guest never been asked, because we really do try to make it thought-provoking and get them really to show the human side of leadership. I mean, that's part of the goal, and we've had a lot of fun over the years with a bunch of executives from Richmond, but also outside of Richmond. I just had the chief brand officer from Mattel out. She came from California, and we talked all about the craze that Barbie was a year ago. Lisa McKnight was the chief person from Mattel in the creation of the movie and the transformation of the brand. She told a remarkable story. And then we had Jason Wright, the president of the Commanders, was on stage with us just
That was a couple of months ago or so. Okay.
And you had one of my boyhood idols, Bobby Dandridge, on your show.
I know.
I wish I could get him on.
It was when he told us the story about getting a call to the hall. He said he told his wife, but he couldn't tell his daughter because, his daughter couldn't hold it in.
Yeah.
And when you hear the story about people who've done remarkable things, I always talk to them and ask them about what was that point? What was that point when things are going and all of a sudden a door opened? One of the programs you also talked about before you came on was the minority program. Talk a little bit about that, because we have a lot of people interested in that who listen and view the program.
Thank you, Mike, for asking about that. So in 2009, I was approached by, at the time, it was the CVM SDC, the Carolinas, it was the Virginia Minority Supplier Development Council at the time. And the head of that, Tracy Jeter, at the time, had an idea that we at the Robbins School of Business, University of Richmond, might serve as a host and provide education to minority businesses. These are certified minority businesses, certified by the CVM SDC. They go through a certification process. And then what happens is 18 to 20 of them will come to us, to the campus, for 1 week every September. It's a different group every year. We've been doing it since 2009. So there's something like 250 or 260 graduates. The commitment on the part of the minority business owner is to be a full participant, engaged in each of the workshops that we run. They come in on a Sunday night and don't depart till Friday afternoon. But all of the funding is provided by great corporate sponsors. The original, ones included, Dominion and Midwest Vaco. Now it includes Capital One and a whole bunch of other great firms, not just from Richmond, but elsewhere. And we get businesses all the way from South Carolina, North Carolina, on up to Maryland who come to the University of Richmond for that week in September.
That's good. And so a person can find out that information going to the University of Richmond website?
Best spot to find out more on that is to visit cvmsdc.org. They've got a bunch of programs listed there, and they do programming throughout the year, but we're thrilled to have that still going this many years later.
All right, so you're on the business side, and Richmond seems to be on a hot streak as far as business, the area. Talk about when you look at the business community here now as opposed to, say, 15, 20 years ago. What's the difference?
Well, you think about, CoStar coming to town. So there have always been 6, 7, or 8 Fortune 500 companies and another 6, 7, or 8 Fortune 1000 firms. But Circuit City is no longer here, but CoStar is. So I think we're always going to be home base to, let's just call it a dozen Fortune 1000 firms. And that's incredibly helpful because it provides such a base of talented, driven individuals. And from an educator standpoint, we like those folks around. I think the thing that's changed is the rapidly growing mid-sized firms and the support for entrepreneurial community here in town. The ecosystem, you come over to campus sometimes with 1 million cups. What Dale Fickett is doing is great. But all over the region, I think there's really neat what Richard Wincher's doing, down in Startup Virginia.
For sure.
There's just so much more, I think, for small to mid-sized businesses. And I'm a past president of ACG, the Association for Corporate Growth, and that's a wonderful place for people who are interested in growing.
That's
businesses.
Another where I see you on stage there a number of times. So shout out to Roe Mead, Lori Jennings, those guys for inviting me to come over, and Kelly Williamson, all the folks out there understanding the power of ACG?
If I could, I think that's the richest conversation in town. I mean, I think for people who are interested in growing businesses or understanding, what M&A activity looks like, it wasn't really my area when I first got involved, but the head of investor relations at Markel said, you need to be involved in this conversation if you're going to represent the University of Richmond properly. And I jumped into it. Bruce Kay was the guy, and I still get so much value out of those programs.
With the number of, so you said Fortune 500, Fortune 1000 companies, the number here, is that typical for the size of a city of Richmond? It's not.
It's not. And I think, here's a secret about why we've been able to hire such great faculty, Mike, because faculty understand that. I mean, business school faculty who like to be out in the community. We're all students of business still, and I think when you look at, if you've got an opportunity to go to maybe to Ann Arbor and teach up there, or to Penn State, you were talking, I mean, there's lots of great schools, but not all of them have such proximity to so many fascinating businesses. It's not just the number, it's the diversity of industries that they're in and the kinds of challenges that they're taking on, from Capital One to Performance Food to Carmack. It's a really neat mix of businesses too.
Because I would think that, and a lot of times people don't understand the size of those businesses for a town the size of Richmond.
It's remarkable. I mean, I think it's one of those reasons that we've seen the evolution. Now, there's lots of people working hard on this over the last 2 decades. I mean, to really evolve Richmond as a great place to do business. But when you get the size of those businesses, the headquarters being here, it means people are coming from all over the country back to headquarters, and they're experiencing Richmond. And these businesses they attract a different kind of person, people from great schools who are driven to learn more, and from an educator standpoint, that's a blessing.
All right, Richard, one last time, sir, how can people get information about the upcoming event?
Thank you. If you'll just Google University of Richmond, Men of Purpose is the name of the program. It'll happen on November 12th. We're going to ask you to register 4:30 p.m. It'll be a very tight 75-minute program with a little bit of time to network after that.
On the mic, Mike, we'd like to thank our sponsors for keeping us on the air, because I always say the microphone ain't free, plus my grandkids need stuff. So we're out there trying to change the world. We'd like to thank you for listening.
Children's Hospital Foundation, the Cameron K. Gallagher Foundation, Jacob's Chance,
over 40,000 minutes of broadcast time donated.
Beyond Boundaries, the Virginia Down Syndrome Association,
Nonprofits telling their story, maximizing their impact.
Richmond Region Tourism, the Chesterfield Chamber of
Creating partnerships that make a difference.
Franco Office of Economic Development,
MIKEKINGBIZ, the social enterprise brand,
Girls for Change,
on a mission.
Mike King is in the business. Mike King is the business. Mike King is the business. Mike King is the businessman.
Hi, I'm Reba Hollingsworth with CBS 6, and I was on the mic with Mike and had a fabulous time. Make sure you tune in every week.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to On Mic with Mike. Mike King here. Hey, I got the coach with me. Back again, we left the light on and family came home. Saraellen Bagby is back with us. Welcome back, ma'am.
Well, thank you.
All right, so you do a number of things. I see you at the top. Man, your kids are getting big.
They are. They're growing.
Especially your son. Now, he was just born, seemed like 15 minutes ago. And look like he's driving now.
He's 2, and he is driving. He's got a little motorcycle. Do you see motorcycle video?
Yes. You know, it's never good when he start off like that. You know, they outgrow the fake funny one, and all of a sudden, the real one is one. All right, so tell people who you are and what you do.
Several things. Sarah be the coach. I consider myself confidence coach for people who are new business owners and just need that push. I am also a full-fledged photographer, which is my main and my love is to do photography, especially weddings and portraits. And then we also are now a leasing agent since the last time I was here.
After hustling.
So we have several studios, hair and makeup as well. I should throw that in there with the photography because we offer it all. And now working on being a venue owner.
So there is the evolution of Saraellen Bagby. Back, you used to be the hairdresser trainer lady, and that was your business. You do that in and out. You were great at that.
I was a coach for a big corporation and licensed in hair. And
doing all of that.
We grew people.
Yes. Okay, and then you got a camera.
Yeah.
So when I first met you, you were just starting the camera journey. Yeah,
literally you met me when I started.
Yes. So it started out as the side hustle thing, and we've had that conversation. When does the side hustle become the hustle and we just drop the side off it? So you started doing, back then you were doing coaching.
Yes.
And you were rolling up with the phone and the day timer. The both of them.
Yeah, I was doing it all.
And I used to ask you, how do you keep the photography separate from the coaching? Now I see you add on to it, going out to, is it Ashland?
I'm in Ashland, yeah.
I come out there, you have a studio. And now you adding extra things onto it. What's the evolution? Talking about somebody where you started one place, but where you are, maybe where you're going, are not where you thought you would be.
Oh, that question is fully loaded.
Yes,
so,
I got one fully loaded question per show.
You evolve as you're called, is what I would say.
Oh.
So I tell people all the time when people ask me, how did you end up where you are? I didn't plan it. I don't have a logical explanation for it. I tell people I believe in prayer and I was favored because for me, I did the photography. It was natural that I already knew how to do hair and makeup, was licensed in it to add that on. Coaching.
That was natural.
Yes. Coaching, I also had a history of doing that when I worked for corporate. I was the company coach. My role was to develop people so that if they won, I won, is the way I looked at it. So I started adding that on when I was doing the photography.
It's the natural next step.
It was the natural next step. And I was also, sorry, I'm losing my voice there, coaching other photographers. So that's how all of that was wrapped up. Then I decided, my 4th, 5th year into doing photography, I wanted a studio. So I went on the hunt for studios. I didn't really want to pay another mortgage note, but that was what it was looking like. And then I finally found an amazing deal. And I was there for all of 2 years when the lady that I was renting from, whom I loved because she had her own photography studio, we were able to intermingle. We had the entire top floor she had was about 4,000 square feet. Last April, so we're looking about a year ago, she came to me and said, I'm leaving. And I was like, oh, crap. My studios were not cheap to
because when I went, when you were down at the end of the hall, You had the one on the left, and was it 2 on the right?
Yep. So I had 3 in all to begin with. And then she came to me and said she's leaving. She's not sure what's going to happen because she was basically subleasing from the owner.
Okay.
I had probably a 20-30 meeting with the owner, minute meeting with the owner, who said, you know, it was split up into sections. There was my hallway for one price. There was the other hallway that she was using for another price. And there was this middle conference room. And so my original thought was, okay, well, my side is not much more than I was already paying. So I could take that whole hall. I was fine with that. And he was like, no, I want you to take the whole top floor. I was like, I originally turned it down. I was like, no, I can't even make that work. And he said, you know, he felt that I really could do it and that I seemed to have really good business acumen. And so I sat and I thought about it. And he said, I don't care what you make over the rent, that will belong to you. He liked the idea that she had kind of started with different businesses renting out from her. And so I went home with my little pencil and paper and I was like, oh, well, if I could get there's 11 additional rooms beside mine. I was like, if I could get all of these rented out for the number that I had in my head, I would be able to make profit on that. And so I think it took me till like June. So this started in April, by June, I think I called him and said, let's do it. Do a 5-year commitment, lock it in. So we did it. It has been a ride. Let me just say that, because there, you know, have been moments where either they weren't all filled or somebody may have signed a contract that was not completely established and they thought they could do it and they couldn't. So I'm learning this journey, but I love this journey. And it reminds me of when I got into photography. I just jumped into it. And then you figure it out as you go, because if you've already written the business plan and the outline, then you know what the potential is. And there's nothing I would trade for that. And then we'll fast forward into, I've been doing that now for almost a year. We are, I was gonna say completely filled, but we have 1 spot left open if anybody needs business, studio or office space that is there. But most recently, as you say, the evolution, I had my property manager coming in for a haircut, and he and I talk all the time about just different business things, different things. And there was supposed to be a barbecue restaurant coming behind my studio. And my studio, by the way, is next to the Hanover Airport, which is really cool to watch the planes go up, come down. You've got private jets, private owned small engine planes. And he said, oh, we're not going to do the barbecue restaurant. And I was like, what do you mean you're not going to do the barbecue restaurant? He's like, it didn't work out. So I'm cutting his hair, giving him his every 2 week hair, 2 to 3 week haircut. And I said, well, why isn't it a wedding venue? Like, it's actually called the Hangar Event Center. Like, that's been the name of the building, but it's never
Had you ever
been an event.
You had thought about that? Had you thought about that?
It just kind of came up. My brain thinks that way. Like, and that's why I like to do the coaching, because when it comes to marketing, in my mind, it's second nature.
Yes, I know. We've had that conversation about how I got snookered. Yes, I learned a lesson. I learned that you know, and before
valuable lesson.
A valuable lesson that I should have had Coach Sarah B as a teacher before I had her as a client.
Yeah.
Because yes, I said to you, you said, hey, will you take a price reduction? And I'm like, sure, to get the deal done.
Well, you got to know your role. You got to know
And
where
you gotta
you
know,
are
right.
in that.
And then I hear you say, never take I'm like, what? What happened? Well, I learned, but I also learned know your worth.
Know your worth.
And
and know your client. Get to do your research on your client.
Who you're talking to.
Yes. Because sometimes even if they say no, it's actually okay, because it was that they didn't. Somebody sent me this last week. I did an invoice last week and I called somebody that I look up to in my field for a contract. And she was like, even if they say no, she said, it wasn't you, it was that they didn't understand the value. Don't be offended by that. And I was like, oh, wow, okay.
Because we had the conversation before when the photography business, when you said a lot of time people discount their value all the time.
Yep. I have had one-on-one meetings with photographers and asked them, like, how much do you charge per image? And they're like, oh, I don't know. And then I look at what they charge for the image and how many images they're giving. And I kid you not, I have done that with somebody that was charging $3 a picture and didn't realize that they were only charging $3.
They were fine.
Yep. They just were trying to get people to book them.
And what happens when you talk to them and the light bulb comes on?
Oh, they go back and start reevaluating.
They start having them, tough conversations with yourself.
They do. It becomes more of a reality of nobody can do a hobby forever. Like, even if you want to, you can't live off of a hobby.
No, you can't.
And so the reality of one, they're worth more. And two, there are other professionals who are getting more.
Doing the same thing that you're doing.
Doing the exact same thing. And I know I've even looked at my work before and looked at other people's work and been like, oh, wow, like the comparison. But then you look at the price point and you're like in two different leagues. So and one's just as good, if not better than the other. So,
and that is the point where you get to knowing your work and adding tax. So you're having a conversation with the property owner.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden you bring up, how about this visionary thing that you saw? You thought of something right at the moment.
Oh gosh, yeah. And
what is
because I do photography as well, I was like, oh my gosh, like I literally felt like I painted a picture. I went home, I created a PDF file. I looked up weddings that happen to be in airport hangars, because it is a hangar where the planes usually would be. And I created a visual and was like, because again, this was another time where they said, oh, you should do this. And I was like, oh, maybe not. Like, y'all are thinking a little higher of me than at that point. Sometimes I have my own confidence thing. I think of myself, but then I went home and I was like, okay, God, if it's presented in front of me, the least I can do is entertain it. Let me do this. I sent it to the owner, and his words the next day were, I'll finance the whole thing. We're going to take care of it. Let's do it. And so 3 meetings later of what does that really look like? We're kind of going into it as business partners, where they're doing all of the building and the coming up with a vision as far as what that looks like. And then I have worked with my own designer as well, because I have to do the pretty part,
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, but us women have that touch.
Some do.
Yep. And so, oh my gosh, my God, Andre.
Oh,
Andre is who I'm pulling in. Andre did my studio.
Yes. Yeah.
Andre
so
Young,
do you still have the wall right there?
Yes. Yeah, all of that is the same. Andre Young is one of the best interior designers.
Yeah, shout out to Andre Young.
Yeah.
And I saw what you said he did to the room across the hall.
Yeah, yeah. So we have.
He has a vision, and you can imagine what he's going to do when you turn him loose.
I brought him in. He's already walked. He did a walk through everything, and so we're looking to bring Andre in as well for that vision piece, and then Haley Builders is the building team that's going to be working on it. They've already done all the floor plans. We've already had one of our meetings with the city of Hanover. We have another walkthrough tomorrow, which I'm excited about, because then we get to take that floor plan, come inside the building, take a look at everything, and like make sure everything is cohesive and actually it looks like it's going to work.
Saraellen.
So it's happening.
It is happening. I'm glad that she's back. We're back together.
Me too.
Because one of the things, the way you operate, like you said, there's an opening, and you're not even trying to go down it. But when a person sees a person who's good at the business side of it, you still carry the daytimer.
What's that?
The book that
I didn't bring it today, but yes, but I've gotten so much better. I now have everything in here too.
Oh,
digital.
Digital. How can people find information out about you?
They can find me on Facebook. I'm still old school, where I like to be personally connected. So just find me under Saraellen Bagby. But I also have all the pages on Instagram, Facebook. So you have J Bella Photography, Sarah B the Coach. And we also have jbella.beauty. I now offer hair and makeup a la carte, not just with the photo shoot. And so my studios actually now have, it wasn't there when you came last time, I have a full salon in there.
Really?
And so those appointments are just like if you were going to make any other appointment. I just put it on the schedule, and I just know either they're just getting hair or it's photo and hair and the whole look.
That's right. She's the best out there. On the mic with Mike, Saraellen the Coach. All right, we got to go. Take care. Thanks.
Phenomenal day, everyone. This is Jawanda with MIKEKINGBIZ here at NES Cornhole. Guess what is happening? Welcome to the inaugural Tri-Cities Cornhole Championship. That's right, the inaugural.
been wonderful. It's great to see the community come out. It was a huge turnout. It was over 100 players. It's been some great matches, a lot of good cornhole going on.
In that way, a lot of cool initiatives are going on there. You got the incubators in town, and now you guys are doing a pitch competition. Let's talk about the programs leading up to it and what can people expect.
Sure. So we've already completed an entire program, the Startup Business Accelerator, which Dorian led.
Yeah, that program was really awesome. We got to meet a lot of really good business owners. One of the ideas that somebody had is they're converting trailers into actual mobile bars. So if you're a big corporation, you're having a wedding, you can actually hire this professional bartender to come out and provide this just amazing experience. So what I love about what Downtown Ashland is doing is so many entrepreneurs that have great ideas. And they just need a little bit of guidance, a little bit of support to get those ideas off the ground. So whether it's financial support through the pitch competition, a connection to different nonprofits in the area, or just help getting the word out around their business, the Downtown Ashland Association is doing a lot to support those with dreams of entrepreneurship.
So is it too late to get into the pitch competition now?
Not yet.
Not yet. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is not too late. You got that big killer idea. That's what you do.
That's right. You hop on to ashlandvirginia.com/2024. There's a button right there that says $20,000 pitch competition. Click that button and apply before March 14th.
So now there's going to be a winner who's going to get the money, but there are all people all along the way who win. Like when you see Shark Tank on TV, everybody doesn't get a deal, but a lot of people get it. Exposure is very big. You don't need to get everybody. You just need to get that one person who believes in your idea.
That's right. And we have resources for entrepreneurs, regardless of whether or not they get to participate in the pitch competition. We're going to be having free workshops all through the spring that they can attend and get advice from real experts like Dorian and other local entrepreneurs who are doing this thing and can make it happen for you too. And we also are putting together a Hanover handbook. So any entrepreneurs who already have a lot of advice that they'd like to share with anyone who wants to create their business in Hanover, they can contribute their insight to the Hanover handbook that we will then be able to share with our entire community and give a roadmap to creating entrepreneurial.
The Hanover handbook, that's a catchy name.
Right.
I kind of thought you
alliteration.
I know. I thought you might have had something to do with that. So Dorian, you're out there. Being an entrepreneur can be lonely for people. What's it like when they get into the world and they think they're the only person who has an idea? My dad would always say, I don't care who you know, it's who knows you.
Yes.
And so, you think every idea, it's not like what's the answer, maybe who's the answer.
Yeah. And I think that's where you need a strategy for getting your business off the ground. Take this pitch competition. There's going to be room for about 200 people to attend the pitch competition live. So that's 200 new people to have the opportunity to learn about your business. You have the judges. I won't say who they are, but there's some key stakeholders in the RVA area that would be good for them to know who you are. And as you get word out around your business, there's always an opportunity for you to get additional resources, to find some employees, to find vendors. So the more you can kind of get out and network, the better you are positioning yourself for future success.
Lou Keeton, Dorian is here with us. All righty, so let's get the information on the competition once again. March 14th. Don't sleep on it, ladies and gentlemen. You better get on it. That's what we're talking about. It is something that's very important. March 14th, right?
March 14th is the application deadline, and March 28th is the show. So you can watch these live pitches at the Ashland Theater on March 28th, and you can arrive a little earlier at 5:30 and hang out for the reception and make those connections that Dorian was talking about.
March 28th. That is a Thursday.
Yes.
What time does that start?
That starts in the evening.
Okay.
I want to say 5:30 is the reception. And 6:30 is the show?
Yeah, I believe so, yes.
All right, so when you had the idea of putting this all together, what's like when you put all the pieces in place and all of a sudden, you're going to do, the pitch competition's coming, but you also know you're doing the training sessions, and people are getting a lot from the training sessions. You can only imagine what the actual competition is going to be like.
Yeah, I cannot wait to hear some of these pitches. And Dorian got a little sneak peek because he actually hosted a workshop through our workshop program to put up the perfect pitch. So I bet
one of the pitches that I'm super excited to hear. There's a small business owner, and she is classically trained in culinary baking, and she's looking to open a bakery in Ashland. high-end French pastries, exclusive coffee experience, and she has a very dynamic pitch that she's going to be doing. So I'm really excited to see people kind of get the opportunity to get their business out in the world and see how it can grow.
All right, Dorian is here. Dorian, one last time, how can people find you out there?
Yeah, the best way to find me is my website, yourpathexecutivesolutions.com. You can also find me on LinkedIn. Search for my name, Dorian, Dorian, Cunion, Cunion. And I love just networking and talking to business owners. So if you have an idea, you have a business, you just want to talk to somebody that might be able to help you with guidance and support, reach out.
All righty. So you're leadership coach. What is it right now that you see the landscape? How are people doing, business owners doing out in these streets?
You know, I think that one of the biggest challenges is the changing demographic of the workforce. When I grew up, there was a little bit more of, I'm just happy to have a job. I'm going to do whatever it takes to be successful here. The younger generation, and I can't blame them, they want to be treated a certain way.
Oh, yeah.
And it's really important that as business leaders that we assess that, people have differences as far as their expectations, and that the better we can craft our company culture, our compensation packages, just how we're interacting with people as humans, the easier it's going to be for us to attract that talent that we need to help our business to grow.
There you go. All right, so that's Dorian. So Louise Keeton is here with us. You got to be a certain kind of woman to be known as Lou. Just anybody can't. But when people deal and engage with you, there's a certain feeling that people get. It's like the business that I'm in is social enterprise, but we always talk about purpose, being a purpose-driven organizations. That's what comes with you. And so we talk like your family. I remember going through you talking about your mom and dad. I mean, man, she just working them. Just having it. It's a family endeavor. Like, how do you make things happen? Talk about purpose in business right now. That's a topic that a lot of people want to talk about.
Wow. Well, where my heart center is Ashland's community. And everything that I do in my career and my business is focused around amplifying that community. And what I'm really seeing is this desire for new innovative ideas to come into Hanover. And the best way we can do that is support the people with those ideas, give them the resources that they need to make those ideas come to light. And that's where these entrepreneurial initiatives are coming from. Give them the workshops, give them the experts, give them the platform to elevate their message and hopefully bring their business to our community.
So Dorian, as well as Lou, are people shocked what goes on in Ashland on the business side?
I think they are.
Yeah, they are.
Ashland is growing like crazy right now. When you think about the proximity to Richmond, you can sit there and be very close to an urban center without having to deal with all the expense and all the challenges of being in an urban environment. You have Randolph-Macon College there, where there's a great opportunity to tap into a college scene. You have the town, which is very dynamic. And then you also have the ability to really easily get into a rural setting. So as far as a place to work, a place to live, or even a place to spend an easy weekend, Ashland and Hanover County is a great place to be.
That's right. So shout out to my man, Andy Taylor, the sheriff out there. Shout out to my man, Andy, owner of Junk Luggers. Now, there's people who do some really great things, and he's one of them with the Remix Market. So
my name is Mariah. My name is Mackenzie. My business is Science with the Science. I own Powerful Love, CEO and creative designer of Teamwork Creations. I am the CEO of Supergirl. I am the owner and creative designer of Jazzy J's Creations, LLC. I am an assistant instructor at Cunion. Toria's Kitchen.
The Richmond Children's Business Fair Team Program encourages youthpreneurs to think, create, and own their own businesses. They are guided and mentored by business and nonprofit professionals who are committed to helping these business owners flourish. The Richmond Children's Business Fair Team Program, where we help dreams become reality. Think it, create it, and own it.
Leading social enterprise show. On the mic with Mike King Biz, delivering filthy thoughts. To find out more about the dynamic host of On the Mic with Mike, please visit his website at MIKEKINGBIZ.com.
Hi, I'm Reba Hollingsworth with CBS 6, and I was on the mic with Mike and had a fabulous time. Make sure you tune in every week.
On the mic with Mike.
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 I'm on the mic with Mike. He's like a guru.
No, he's a businessman with a great radio show.
And he supports the nonprofits. Watch his show and grow.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to On the Mic with Mike King here, coming to you from the Mike King Biz Call Federal Credit Union Radio Studio. You can follow me on all the social platforms on the Mic with Mike RVA, as well as Mike King Biz. Alrighty, what we do is we talk to the best and the brightest people who are moving the needle, making magic happen in the RVA Central Virginia area. So we open the door. I go to a lot of meetings. I see a lot of people. Names stick out. We open the door and thought leaders and change makers come into the building. All right, so folks, tell us who you are, what you do. Then we're going to get in. I don't even know why we're talking now. Like, thank you, God bless, good night. The best stuff has happened already, but for radio purposes, and since this is a business radio show, we have to record it for posterity. Madam, tell us who you are and what you do.
My name is Shelli Brady, and I am an advisor with Silver Advisors. I'll share more after my partners introduce themselves.
There you go. So, all righty, sir.
Hi, I'm Ajax and co-founder of Silver Advisors.
And I'm Mark Deutsch, one of the other co-founders of Silver Advisors.
You know, I'm not going to say I'm the sharpest tool in the drawer. Silver Advisors, I qualify. I do. So at what point? So there's a lot of people talk about talent that's left, out there in the workforce. You go away, you learned a lot of things, you hit your stride, and then maybe it's time you step off the treadmill, or they think there's a newer, better model. Older folks find themselves with a lot of connections, a lot of knowledge, looking on from the sidelines going, I still can contribute. So talk about how Silver got started and where we are today.
I will happily do that. The one thing I'll give you a break from is we oftentimes, or we always start our meetings with a centering exercise, but we didn't think you'd want 3 minutes of dead air on the radio. So
let me explain something to you. We should have did that before, because when that happens, there's a person who runs over and they start freaking out because we have 3 minutes of dead time. They're like, somebody's going to get fired. And luckily I don't work for the radio station, but it may be costly.
How Silver got started, it was I'd had two problems I'd been thinking about for 10 or 15 years. And then just under a year ago, coincidentally, I was having a conversation at a networking event, and I put the two ideas together. Some of your listeners, if they're old enough, may remember there was a commercial where two people walk around the corner and they bump into one another, and one says to the other, hey, you got peanut butter on my chocolate. And it was a Reese's commercial. Well, this was one of those situations where my ideas bumped together and I go, oh, I can solve both. Rather than individually, I can solve them together. One was locally owned independent businesses, those under $1 million in revenue, which represents 97% of businesses in America are under $1 million in revenue, can't afford $300 to $1,200 an hour for top-level advisory services. But we also know from business, from athletics, the arts, all sorts of professions, no one becomes successful without some outside, advice. And so, I said, okay, now I have a solution. I have a way to deliver this affordably to our clientele, Then the other idea was, I had all of these friends that had really hit it out of the ballpark with their careers, wildly successful by any measure. But circumstances had it later in life where they were struggling a little bit financially, but they still had so much knowledge and wisdom to offer. And we felt like, wow, if we could pair those together, you know, it's a real win-win. And so that was the genesis of Silver.
Is that sort of like a SCORE, like a private version of SCORE, like that model? You got talent. There's a need, and you're just putting the people together?
Yeah, I think great question. I think the difference that we look at it as SCORE tends to be best suited for companies that are pre-revenue. So you often have people coming to SCORE saying, hey, I've got this idea. I lost my job. I like to cook. I'm thinking about starting a food truck. Perfect fit for SCORE to provide those services. Like you said, great experienced, seasoned individuals. And oftentimes they pair them with somebody who started a food truck that's retired now or sold it, and now they can help guide and advise that person. They overwhelmingly tend to be pre-revenue. I've got an idea. I need to build a business plan. We're working with businesses that are already in existence. SCORE has some of those, but it's not their focus, I would say. For us, the focus is providing advisory, similar services in that respect, I think, advising business owners. But in our case, they tend to be folks that are already making money. Say they're making, you know, a couple-man shop, making a couple $100,000 a year. They want to get to $1 million. We want to help them get there, but that requires a different skill set in order to get there. So that's where I think the two ideas diverge.
Absolutely. And I think the other thing, when you asked who we are, we're all entrepreneurs. We've all, you know, started 1, 2, 3 companies successfully. Either they're still in existence and have perpetuated us, you know, building something bigger than yourself. Or, you know, we sold them off, like we were talking earlier about the one that you had sold off and spun it into a couple of other franchises. So it's always, you know, how do you take that seed and you know, nurture it till it's this beautiful harvest that you're looking for. And so that's the other experience that we bring is 30 plus years, each of us in that entrepreneurship in different market sectors. So we cover a gamut.
One of the things I always talk about, so my parents were entrepreneurs. I wanted to be a doctor, and I went to the Army. Now, this is a tough question. You know, I got one good one per interview. I ask entrepreneurs, you know, can you guys ever be monogamous? Find that one thing and stop with the wandering eye? Like you're riding down the street on a random Tuesday. Bing, I got an idea. Does it have to be like that? Or can it be, I thought this thing up, it is successful. I am stopping with the wandering eye, thinking of the next thing. Is it possible?
The way I would, and this is just a personal thing, I track all of those ideas over years, and you would be amazed at how many get recycled and brought back in unrelated situations. So just the fact that I had the idea 8 years ago doesn't mean that I can't repurpose it with what I'm doing today or even tomorrow.
Here's another an idea question. So it doesn't have to be today. And how do people, everyone has a dream, everyone has a desire. How do you take that and turn it into something? Like you said, you know, I got something here. You had an idea, another idea, and you put together, and all of a sudden you look up and say, you know what, I got something here. How do you make a dream turn into reality for all the entrepreneur wannabes out there?
Well, it's funny, you were talking earlier about, you know, one person invents something and everybody else tweaks it, right? And I think a lot of times, it might be the way that we're all raised, I don't know, but the idea that you have to have the money to make it so. So you hold on to these dreams going, I don't have the money, I'll earn the money, I'll have to go find the money. The money is a barricade. No, it's not. The belief. You can believe in it. And then I think we also talked about, I got a guy, right? If you can share an idea, chocolate and the peanut butter, like if you just collide, if you connect with other people, and that whole sort of, you know, the synapses start going off, like you can make it happen. There's a lot of things that we've all created without the seed money. But when people think they have to have the venture capital to start, then they wait and they delay.
a big part of my audience are women entrepreneurs, and I always joke with them and say, there are 10 things required to get this job. Women think they need all 10. If you let a man, if I get 4, don't let me get 5. There's no reason I can't get this one. And that's some of the thinking. We talk to women like, how often do they go outside of their own purse for funding and doing all those other things? So, ma'am, really quickly touch on that for our female entrepreneurs out there.
I mean, women can multitask. They know how to.
That is true.
They know how to take a lot of disparate things. This is sort of my magic. Is I can take a lot of disparate things and find the intersection of them and create something that never existed before. You know, women do that every day, and they don't realize what a gift it is. Do you know what a bricoleur is?
No, ma'am, I'm not that. I'm from Philadelphia. No,
you know, back in the World War II, I guess, you know, when all these things were broken down and we were across seas, and it was like, bring in the farm hands, you know, bring in the people who know how to put 2 popsicle sticks together with a wad of chewing gum and make a rocket ship to the moon. You know, if we can lean into those things, we're incredibly creative people, and anything's possible. But you just have to start. If it's the woman who, you know, starts crafting something or baking something or caring for something, then all of a sudden, to your point, people want to play, right? People want to contribute. People want to amplify that and that fire. You yourself have contributors and sponsors who want to make it possible for you to do what you're doing. And there are other people out there. But first, you just have to have the vision and believe in it and start up.
So, Mark, let's talk about the Richmond business scene. You've been around here for, what's different now as opposed to 20 years ago?
Now, there's been a huge shift, I think, just in the past 20 years, like you said, especially in the past 10 years, even, I would say. The demographics have changed dramatically around Richmond. When I came here in 1993, as we talked pre-show, it definitely was a town of who do you know, who wants to know you. And to me, it's always been the easiest place in the world to network, because people are more than happy to introduce you to other people. But if they were going to help you, you had to earn that. Over many years, it had to be who you know, where your family came from, frankly, was really, really important. I think the demographics has literally flipped. So even in Henrico County, where I currently live, demographics have flipped dramatically. It used to be a very, very conservative area, and now it's becoming more and more moderate and liberal in many cases. So I think because of the demographics, most of the people from this area are now not from the area. They moved here. So I think those people don't have those expectations. That I'm not as interested in who you know and what your family name is and where you went to elementary school and who you're connected to. Now I'm interested in what are you doing for the community and who are you as an individual, as opposed to who you're connected to. So I think that has dramatically shifted in the business.
And you've been here since
1993.
And Ajax, how long have you been here?
I moved here in 2020 during the pandemic.
Okay.
So I'm the new kid on
You're
the block.
the new kid on the block, do you know? You got dance moves like new kids?
No.
You don't have
He can rock the rest.
I would scare the black right off you.
Okay, so here you go. You got moves. So we want to see those moves at some point. We're not going to. When you got here, what did you notice about the Richmond business scene? Something that kind of stood out.
I would echo what Mark just said. It was clear to me that there was a transition happening from sort of a very old
guard.
Old guard, old boys network, and that there's now an emerging group of folks. And it's not just the people who have relocated like myself, but I think they're impacting people who are born and raised here. But there's an energy where I think for a very long time, almost by intention, Richmond lagged the rest of the country. But I think there's a feeling now, particularly around a lot of reconciliation, a lot of racial healing, as foundational, but that Richmond can leap ahead of the rest of the country and really become a leader, both from a psycho-spiritual place, also from an economic place. So I think it's an incredibly exciting time to be in Greater Richmond.
And when did you come?
2014.
Okay, so I started in December of 86. And I know when a significant turn happened. And it was with the market crash in 2008, 2009.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It was a huge awakening to the more elite, the ones who held the keys to the kingdom. And they actually said, we held on too long, but our 20-somethings are going to save us. And here I was in my later 40s and thinking, wait a minute, you can't leapfrog over me. I've been paying my dues. I've been waiting for this time. I've been banging on the door. And other people like me were like, it's been a tough time. Like I said earlier, when I came here, I was 25, young, creative, female, lived on the south side of the river. Like all those things. It's funny because I say that my colleagues a lot of the times, they said they hired me for my creativity, but that a gray hair was going to present them. Now I have the gray hair. So, but back in the day, it was the older ones who were going to be the ones to always be in front, always, be in charge. And so things started, changing. All of a sudden we got height through the chamber. We got, 20 under 20 or 30 under 30 or 40 under 40. They started promoting the youth and elevating them. They just realized that we were behind. I think you said, Charlotte had passed us, and we were searching for, I think that was also like the 400-year anniversary in Williamsburg or Jamestown, and I just realizing how behind we were and how we had more to go. It wasn't about the big martini lunch mergers and acquisitions anymore. It was about what the locally owned businesses, the entrepreneurs, the people who were had been sort of left out in the cold were going to find a way to survive. And they did, and they built it. And we have this incredible sort of grassroots economy here. Look at the foodies, look at the music, look at all of it. And then to really then begin to embrace our environment and our history and start breaking down the barriers. And one of the biggest changes I made in community development work was sort of rebranding Manchester. It was vacant at that time, and look at it now. And what we did was said, this isn't a north and a south side. This is a city with a river running through it. And all of a sudden, you could bring the pieces together.
I remember, so I met John J. Schwartz. And, I didn't get the part with the man with the square feet.
The man with square feet, that's right.
Until a while back. He was supposed to be here yesterday, but he wasn't feeling good. So he's coming on Monday. And I asked him, what was the area that shocked you the most? He said, Scott's Addition. He said, I was sure that would never, ever, ever be anything. I come here in 2014. People can't wait to get out of Scott's Addition. And now you can't get in there.
Something I'd like to key off that Shelli was saying is we love young people. And we're not young people, but we love them. And a lot of people our age complain bitterly about them. But I'm convinced they will save the world. They're going to be amazing business owners. And so this is just kind of opening the door to say we love people and the young people and the changes they're bringing about. So
thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Now, here we go. Young rules everything these days. I mean, it does. And I tell people, my grandkids, I'm like, I used to be something back in the day. Now all you see is this old man, but there are a lot of young people, so everything is new and fast and all those things. But clearly there are silver experts on the side who it's not always what? It's who? Who can answer that? And you guys have the bench to do that, but how do you let people know, like, hey, here's this person over there. I may not run as fast. I may not do those things, but the wealth of knowledge that I have can solve a lot of these issues that you guys are spinning your wheels.
Well, I think, we talk about the boomers. I think I figured out I'm in Generation Jones, But
wait a second, what's that one?
Generation Jones, it's 1954 to 1965. It's this people who are on the cusp of all of
Well,
the
I'm
change.
Jones.
Yeah, baby. We're peers.
So me and my wife, we used to be the mature millennials because we used to be hanging a lot. But then we realized we weren't. We were boomers.
No, I can't relate to that. I just never have. I've been a Gen Xer, and when I found out, oh, that's the Generation Jones.
That's because you got a young spirit.
Thank you. And so, but the idea that the economy talking about is the greatest transfer of wealth by 2030, right? No, but the greatest transfer of wealth is this. It's all of the years, the wisdom even. It's not even in years. It's the wisdom that's pulled from that, and that's from inside. That's kind of going back to some of the coherence and stuff that we do to help people understand that you already got all the answers inside you. Now I'm back into the belief. If you just believe, you don't need another degree, you don't need another credential, you don't need another nothing. You need somebody that you can collaborate with who can help you, bring out what you've got inside you and launch you. And that's what Silvers can do. So we've got them, you talked about depth of bench, whatever you need. I may not know it, but I know where to find it. I got a guy.
There's nothing more personal, more powerful than I know the person. You remind me of a friend of mine, the first person who believed in me in Richmond when I got here, Jenny Kirby, who owns Crossroads Art Center. She is that person. When I'm just knocking on the door, just saying, hi, this is who I am, open the door. She owns the coolest art gallery off of Staples Mill and Broad Street. It's the size of a supermarket. And one, she's a social justice warrior, but also just a person who understands that spirit part. So, Mark, you gotta let young folks know. So back in the day when I used to work for AccuWeather, the HuffPost was the hot thing. And so we go there and everybody was just laying around. They were doing cool things, but they wasn't making any money. Then all of a sudden they must have realized, okay, we got to go get some older folks who know that part about making money. How do you let younger people know who have all the answers and are running 100 miles an hour that person over here may have the solution of what may take you months or a year to figure out they did it and they understand? How do you let the people know that who are out there? Because if you look at it, we got the millennials out there. Richmond is on this list and that list. And a lot of those lists are the young lists. How do you let those entrepreneur people know that we got some talent over here ready and willing to help?
I think largely it's they have to have a problem first. I think one of the things that's changed significantly just in the past couple of years, we were talking before the show about AI, for example, that there's knowledge is not power anymore. And I think a lot of young people especially, they're so attuned from a technology standpoint, they've got access to all the knowledge in the world through the internet. Now it's even more accessible through AI. But as soon as they have a problem, they've got all this knowledge, they feel they've got the answers. If those are not working, then they need wisdom, which is what we bring to the table. It's really the application of that knowledge. And I think when people have a seeking spirit that I know I've got a challenge, I'm open to getting outside advice now because I can't solve this. I searched the internet, I've checked with ChatGPT and AI, I can't solve this problem. Who else can I go to? That's where they're going to seek solutions, and that's where I think they'll find someone like us. So we need to create the environment for those individuals to find us by being experienced individuals with some wisdom we feel we built over time. And we'd love to share that with those individuals. And as we talked earlier, we make it accessible. We're not charging $1,000 an hour for that knowledge, which we have done in the past individually to our firms and ourselves. We could do that. We want to make it more accessible at a fraction of that cost. So it's also affordable. They're not perceiving I'm going to have to spend thousands of dollars to ask these guys a question. I can do it for hundreds of dollars, for example.
What's the engagement like with you guys? What does an engagement look like?
I would say our core offering, we like to call it, is we also position ourselves as business therapists. So
I like that one.
We're really a sounding board for folks who, again, regardless of age or experience, they want to be able to bounce ideas off of somebody. Because as we talked earlier, entrepreneurship is tough. It's a very lonely business. And being a CEO, it's lonely. So oftentimes you don't have even your own spouse to talk with about ideas. Much less other business people. So we provide that type of role. So typically an engagement looks like our core business is a couple of sessions a month for $300. So for $300, you're getting access to our silvers or other silvers for a couple hours a month for $300 per month. And
So it's a subscription sort of model.
Ideally, yes. Yeah, it's really we prefer ideally to have at least 90 days, for example, to get started is ideal.
So a person, here's another, Shelli, this isn't, I guess would be for you. A person contacts you. There's going to be that one question, it's coming. You don't know, it may not be today, it may not be Tuesday, but that thing is going to happen because it always happens during it happens so often. We know that that's kind of like a problem that everyone's going to run into. Is there something that pops up for the most part every conversation?
I would say that the two topics, and I'll come back to wisdom. One is marketing, because everyone wants more business.
Yeah, that's true.
But the other that's even bigger, where the wisdom comes in, is people issues. People are wonderful things. I love people, but they're complicated.
And he does. I'm the introvert.
He looks like a guy. He has that look of a person who loves people.
He does. He really does.
But they're complicated. And if you're in a business and you're trying to get all your folks to, march in a line, that's complicated. And so that's where, that depth of experience and what's worked before can be really vital. Because, if you mentioned that a lot of your, listeners are women,
yes,
100% of them talk to their girlfriends about what their husbands are doing right or wrong.
Yes.
So imagine that, but that's what you need in your business. If your, staff isn't doing what you want, who are you going to talk about to get them on track?
Yeah.
Get that feedback.
I don't know if it's a question. When you ask me, is it a question? It's more of like a topic, and it falls in line with what you're talking about. And it's resistance. It's change. I don't know how to shift in this moment. I have this obstacle. I don't know how to, get through it. And leaders use every obstacle as an opportunity, but it's having somebody to sound, as a sounding board. Because when you're at the top, you're like, what do I do? How do I maneuver this thing? You don't have anybody to talk to. And then, you get to this place where it's like, either I totally just deal with it, roll over, or I totally blow up. And, what's the halfway in between? I do a lot of work in conflict resolution, restorative justice, racial healing, reconciliation, reparative culture. And that I talk to business owners a lot, leaders a lot, about how they navigate change. Because change is painful.
Change is painful.
But it happens every minute, like our cells. I don't have the same cells I had when we started, this conversation. But we look at change as something I either do or don't do. It's like, no, that's a Yoda, It's just, it is. It's a fact. And so how do you do that? So it's the resistance part. And then to your part about marketing, most people see marketing as sales versus enrollment versus providing a service to somebody who's in need of that service. But can you approach a situation by being present for another individual, the consumer, which is also your employee, which is also your shareholders, whatever? Or do you look at everything in that dollar mark? So I'm back into, it's like how you want to view the world, right? Money's not bad. Everybody should have money and lots of it. But if we're only looking at it as how do I acquire that, then we're missing all the joy, I think.
So you're talking about the transactional piece. That there are times people come to me with things and I'm like, I can't be the transactional guy because that requires a lot of bookkeeping.
Yeah.
And it's like our conversation about synapse.
Yeah.
It's like you show up, you don't show. It's all those things. To me, my wife calls me, I'm the kumbaya guy. Just like that touchy-feely, Mr. Feel-Good.
Yes.
That's me.
Mm-hmm. I had somebody, it was a beautiful compliment back a bit time ago, but he said, you do transformational work in a transactional world.
Ooh.
And he goes, and I bet that's hard to market. And I was like, oh, But I loved that he saw it that way from having, just experience working with me.
You wonder how you explain that to somebody. That's a tough one, because a lot of times those are parallel lanes. They don't merge.
They can, and that's where I pointed to you, like speaking to coherence a bit, if you will.
Well, what I would start with is simply ask, somebody with 500,000 in revenue whose goal is to be at 5 million, and say, okay, what's going to be different about you to allow that to happen? It's not just another idea. You're not going to read an article in Inc. magazine, or you're not going to this. It's not information. You internally have to be different, and that's that inner transformation is a lot of the work we do. And I think our entire business culture is strictly in our heads, and it's not working. And so we have a book that we're in the process of editing. It'll be an online book with a course called 3 Minds. And what we're referring to, and Shelli mentioned coherence, is most of your listeners, as they're sitting there listening right now, are listening with one part of their mind.
Okay.
When you integrate all the parts of your mind, your heart, and your gut into one operating unit, so that you're effortlessly flowing whatever the moment before you takes, you start performing on an entirely different level. Many people would have heard the term flow or peak performance. Well, McKinsey has studied it, and McKinsey has found people in a flow state are 500% more effective. Now, I don't know that any of us can be there all the time, but out of a 40-hour a week, if you're 500% more effective 4 hours out of the week, can you afford not to do that if that's what all the other businesses are doing? So we're talking about sort of taking business like another leap forward. We talked earlier about AI. I think someone working in a flow state, bouncing back and forth with AI, that's where the cure from cancer is going to come, right there. And so, and what's so interesting, I want you to think of a line on a piece of paper, and on the left is and we know there's a mental health crisis in America now.
Yes.
There's a loneliness epidemic.
Particularly for entrepreneurs.
Entrepreneurs. And so if you're lonely, anxious, depressed, foggy, tired, burnt out, all of those negative adjectives, then the line goes across with arrows going to the right with normal in the middle. And on the far right, you're resilient, you're creative, you're in the flow, all of those positive things. So, so a lot of our work, and particularly related to this book, is going to be bringing that type of inner transformation so that you are actually a different person
to that next level.
Who can go to that next level.
So now that brings us to the conversation, Mark, that we had on the phone yesterday. And so we had Inc. 5000 was in. I've had the same conversation with Scott McRoberts at, Virginia Council of CEOs. Shelli got me to 500,000. I want to go to 1 million. Sorry, Shelli. You can't get in the system, so it doesn't become transactional.
Anything come to mind?
For me, I think it's I think many businesses, some of the smartest and most well-run businesses, understand the idea of having their smallest viable audience. We're not looking to mass market and be the answer for everyone. So some people in that bucket, for example, may not be a good fit anymore. We got you to a certain point. We were a great fit. We helped get you there. If your perspective becomes, you're not going to be able to get me somewhere else, I'm going to go work with someone else. Cool. That's great.
Yeah.
Go do it. Wish you all the best. Maybe you're no longer a great fit for our particular services, So we're looking for aligning with those individuals that want to be at the right side of what Ajax described. The individuals that want to be in a flow state, they want to be resilient. Those are the folks that we're going to work with. We're going to be a great fit for them. They're a great fit for